Looking for the ultimate gaming experiences that truly define what a perfect 10 out of 10 feels like? These aren't just games I played, they're the ones that stuck with me. Some told unforgettable stories, some had worlds I got lost in, and a few were so hard I still haven't finished them. This list is personal, and if you've beaten some of these titles, maybe even more than once, I want to hear your take too. Let's see how many of these you survived. The first game on our list is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, an action RPG from CD Projekt Red, released back in 2015. You play as Geralt of Rivia, a monster hunter caught in a world of war, politics, and dark magic. What makes this game unforgettable isn't just its size, but how alive everything feels. Villages have real problems, side quests carry emotional weight, and sometimes the quiet conversations hit harder than the boss fights. For me, this was the first game where I slowed down to really listen, to care about every choice. I wasn't just playing a game, I was living in its world. Even years later, few RPGs have matched it. If you haven't played it yet, or gave up early, give it another shot. Trust me, this one stays with you. The next game on this list is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, a 2019 action-adventure from From Software set in a brutal, stylized version of Sengoku-era Japan. You play as Volf, a loyal shinobi on a mission to protect his young lord. This isn't your average RPG. There are no stat crutches, just raw skill. It's all about timing, deflection, and learning through failure. Every enemy is dangerous, and every boss a mountain to climb. For me, that mountain was Genichiro. I lost to him so many times I stopped counting, but that's where Sekiro shines. It's about staying calm, adapting, and earning every inch of progress. And when you finally win, that feeling is unmatched. So, how many times have you beaten Sekiro? Once, twice, still stuck on Genichiro like I was? Let's talk in the comments. No judgment here. Next up is Ghost of Tsushima, an open-world action-adventure set during the Mongol invasion of 13th century Japan. You play as Jin Sakai, a samurai torn between honor and survival. The world is breathtaking, golden forests, snowy cliffs, and fields of wind-blown grass. But what makes it special isn't just how it looks, it's how it feels. You're guided by wind, not waypoints. It's immersive in a quiet, poetic way. You can fight with samurai discipline or embrace stealth as the ghost. And the story? Subtle but powerful, all about tradition, sacrifice, and questioning everything you were raised to believe. Personally, I slowed down with this one. I wrote haiku, followed foxes, just soaked in the world. Few games feel this respectful to its culture, its world, and to the player. So tell me, did you walk the path of the ghost, or stick to the samurai code? What moment stayed with you the most? Now let's talk about Cyberpunk 2077, the game that launched with chaos, but slowly evolved into one of the most immersive open-world RPGs out there. You play as V, a merc with a mysterious chip in their head and a digital ghost, Johnny Silverhand, riding shotgun in your mind. The game dives deep into identity, memory, and what it means to stay human in a world built on upgrades and control. At launch, I bounced off like a lot of people. But after all the updates and Phantom Liberty, I gave it another shot and got hooked. The city felt alive, the side quests had weight, and yeah, I kind of miss Johnny when he stopped talking. It's still rough in spots, but it's also personal in a way most games never manage. So, did you start as a corpo, street kid, or nomad, and how did your Night City story unfold? Released in 2018 by Rockstar Games, Red Dead Redemption 2 is both a prequel to the original and one of the most powerful stories gaming has ever told. You play as Arthur Morgan, an outlaw caught between loyalty to his gang and a changing world that no longer has room for men like him. From robbing trains to helping strangers, everything you do carries weight. But it's the quiet moments that hit hardest. Campfire talks, snow-covered rides, watching Arthur wrestle with who he's becoming. The world feels alive, towns grow, people remember you, and even your horse becomes family. It's not just Rockstar's story, it's the one you shape in between the shootouts and standoffs. For me, Red Dead 2 isn't just a western. It's a slow, aching farewell to an era and one of the most human games I've ever played. Let's be real, Elden Ring isn't just a game, it's a full-on journey. From Software took everything punishing about Dark Souls and dropped it into a massive, open world full of mystery, danger, and jaw-dropping beauty. You play as a Tarnished, wandering the lands between, often dying, sometimes winning, but always discovering something strange and awe-inspiring. Every path hides a boss you're not ready for, and yet, you keep going. I'll be honest, I'm still stuck on Malenia. She heals when she hits, has to brutal phases, and makes me question all my life choices. But that's the magic of Elden Ring. It humbles you, teaches you patience, and rewards your persistence like nothing else. So did you take her down, or did another boss break your spirit first? Let's hear it. We're all tarnished here. Baldur's Gate 3 is one of those rare RPGs that makes you feel like every choice truly matters. Built on the Dungeons & Dragons rule set, it gives you the freedom to solve problems however you want, whether that's with brute force, clever dialogue, or complete chaos. You start infected with a mysterious parasite, but things spiral quickly into a massive story about gods, demons, and inner conflict. What really hooked me wasn't just the epic scope, it was the characters. Every party member feels alive with their own secrets, emotions, and unpredictable reactions to your decisions. Personally, I found myself caring more about a campfire conversation than some boss fights, and that says a lot. Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't just give you content, it gives you ownership over your story. And when things go horribly wrong, which they will, it still feels like your journey, your mess, your masterpiece. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a 2020 action RPG developed and published by Square Enix. It continues the story of Final Fantasy VII Remake as the second part of a planned trilogy remaking the 1997 PlayStation classic. In Rebirth, players leave the confines of Midgar and enter a vast open world filled with iconic locations, reimagined characters, and expanded lore. The game enhances the emotional journey of Cloud and his companions, deepening their relationships and exploring new storylines that challenge expectations. Combat blends real-time action with strategic commands, offering fluid, cinematic battles. The soundtrack reworks beloved themes with fresh arrangements that perfectly match the game's tone, both nostalgic and unpredictable. Rebirth doesn't just recreate a classic, it redefines it for a new generation. With stunning visuals, bold narrative shifts, and rich world building, it cements itself as a must-play RPG and a worthy successor to one of gaming's most iconic stories. If there's one game that made me slow down and feel something different, it's Death Stranding. Released in 2019 by Kojima Productions, you play as Sam Porter Bridges, a delivery man in a broken world, trying to reconnect what's left of humanity. It sounds weird, and it is. You're not chasing action, you're carrying cargo, dodging ghostly threats, and walking through silence. But somehow it works, the solitude, the music, the small acts of help from other players. It all becomes strangely emotional. For me, it clicked when I realized the game wasn't about the packages, it was about connection. Even one like On a Ladder Someone Left Behind made the world feel a little less lonely. And now Death Stranding 2 On the Beach is finally here, dropped at the end of June. Have you played it yet? I'm curious where Kojima takes us next. There's no game quite like Disco Elysium. No combat, no explosions, just a broken detective, a murder, and a city quietly falling apart. You wake up hungover, barely remembering who you are. From there, it's less about solving a case and more about rebuilding your identity, one strange, philosophical, often hilarious decision at a time. Your thoughts argue with you, your failures speak volumes, and somehow, even falling apart feels meaningful. I didn't think I'd get hooked, but the writing, the dry humor, the quiet sadness, it all stuck with me. One minute I was chasing clues, The next I was crying in front of a kid or debating the nature of reality with my own brain. So did you make it through Revachol with your sanity intact, or did your detective spiral like mine did? I'd love to hear the weirdest thing that happened in your playthrough. This one hit different. If you grew up with the original God of War trilogy, you remember Kratos as pure rage, all fire and vengeance. But in God of War 2018, he's older, quieter, and more human than ever. Set in Norse mythology, the game isn't just about gods and monsters, it's about fatherhood. You're still slinging the Leviathan axe and wrecking trolls, but at its heart, you're guiding Atreus through a brutal world while learning how to be a father. What got me was the small stuff. Kratos reaching for his son's shoulder, then pulling back. That hesitation said everything. You feel the weight of who he was and who he's trying to become. It's still epic, don't get me wrong. Tight combat, stunning world, unforgettable boss fights. But it's the quiet moments that hit the hardest. So, did this new Kratos hit you as hard as it hit me? For me, it wasn't just a reboot, it was redemption. Let's be honest, Bloodborne doesn't ease you in. It drops you into Yharnam, gives you a rusty weapon, and basically says, survive. Set in a decaying, gothic nightmare full of beasts and cosmic horror, this isn't just about hard combat, it's about atmosphere. Every alley feels like something's watching you, and usually it is. Combat is fast, aggressive, and unforgiving. You're pushed to fight back, not play it safe. I still remember getting wrecked by Father Gascoigne over and over, nearly quit. But beating him, easily one of the most satisfying wins I've ever had. That's Bloodborne in a nutshell, brutal, haunting, and rewarding. The deeper you go, the weirder it gets, and if you love unsettling lore, it absolutely delivers. So did you make it out of Yharnam, or did the beast break you first? I know I wasn't alone in getting lost in that fog. Devil May Cry 5 is pure, stylish chaos, and honestly, it's the most satisfying hack and slash I've ever played. You control 3 characters, Nero with his devil breakers, V with his summoned beasts, and of course, Dante, still effortlessly cool. Each plays differently, but all share that signature DMC flair, fast, flashy, and insanely fun. I've played a lot of action games, but this one just flows. The combos are smooth, the animations are wild, and hitting an S-rank mid-fight while the music ramps up, it's straight up dopamine. Every battle feels like a performance, and I kept coming back to Perfect Mine. So who's your go-to, Nero, V, or Dante? And be honest, how often did you hit that triple S rank? Because I still drop combos more than I'd like to admit. Nier Automata is one of those games that starts as stylish action and ends up somewhere a lot deeper. You play as To Be, a combat android sent to Earth in a war between machines and remnants of humanity. And let's be honest, To Be isn't just iconic for her design, which is instantly recognizable, but for how much she expresses with so little. Stoic, precise, quietly emotional, she leaves an impression. The combat, created by Platinum Games, is slick and satisfying, switching between hack and slash action and bullet hell chaos without missing a beat. But what really makes Nier special is how it hides emotional depth under layers of gameplay, unlocking more meaning with every new ending, each one reshaping what you thought you knew. It's one of the few games that made me feel more with machines than many stories do with humans, and if you've played it, I'd love to know, how far did you go, and what ending hit you the hardest? Days Gone surprised me. At first, it looks like another zombie survival game, but beneath the chaos, it's really about loss, loyalty, and holding on to hope. You play as Deacon St. John, a drifter trying to survive a world overrun by freakers, fast, relentless, and terrifying in huge numbers. But more than the combat, it's the quiet moments that stood out, searching for someone to trust, something to believe in, when everything's gone. Now, it's not perfect, the side quests can drag, and some missions felt more like filler than progress. But even with the pacing issues, I still got attached to Deacon, his bike, and the journey. So how about you? Did you push through to the end or get lost somewhere in a never-ending side mission? Let's hear what stuck with you most. Mass Effect 2 is one of those games that made me feel like I was leading an actual team, not just controlling party members, but building trust, earning loyalty, and sometimes losing people I genuinely cared about. You play as Commander Shepard, brought back from the dead and sent on what's basically a suicide mission to save the galaxy. But the real magic of the game isn't just in the big choices, it's in the small moments. The quiet talks on the Normandy, the loyalty missions that dig into each character's backstory. The way your decisions affect not just the ending, but how your team looks at you. What really stuck with me is how personal it all felt. I wasn't just trying to beat the game, I was trying to keep everyone alive, and when things went wrong, it hit hard. Mass Effect 2 might be over a decade old, but it still holds up incredibly well, and if you've played it, you know exactly what I mean. So who did you save? Who didn't make it? Let's talk about it down below. Tears of the Kingdom takes everything that made Breath of the Wild great, then says, now go higher, deeper, and wilder. You're still Link, still saving Hyrule, but this time you've got floating islands in the sky, crazy new powers, and even more ways to experiment and break the rules. I'll be honest, I spent hours just messing around with the new building mechanics. Made some wild contraptions. Some worked, most didn't. But that's the fun. It's a playground for creativity. The sense of discovery is still unmatched, and the freedom is just as addictive. It's not always about the main quest. Sometimes it's just following a weird rock formation for 20 minutes and seeing where it leads. If you've played it, you already know how easy it is to get lost in this world. So tell me, what's the weirdest thing you've built so far? Fallout New Vegas is one of the few games where I felt like every choice truly mattered. You start off as just a courier, left for dead in the Mojave, no grand destiny, just a bullet to the head. But from there, it's completely up to you. You can side with the NCR, follow Caesar's brutal vision, or go full wildcard and take over New Vegas yourself. The factions feel real, the choices have weight, and no to playthroughs are the same. What stuck with me most was the freedom. I spent hours ignoring the main quest, just wandering, getting lost in strange side stories and weird little towns. The world felt broken but believable, and sometimes, just standing in the desert watching the sunset hit different. For me, New Vegas wasn't just about who won, it was about who I became along the way. How did you play it? Peacekeeper, Dictator, Lone Wanderer? Let me know how your Mojave story went. Detroit Become Human is one of those games that really got me thinking, not just about the story, but about what it means to be human. You follow 3 androids, Kara, Marcus, and Connor, each facing tough choices in a world where androids are fighting for freedom. What hit me the hardest was how every decision, even the small ones, ripples into something bigger. It's not just choose A or B, it's who do you want to become. Personally, I found myself second-guessing a lot. Do I play it safe or risk everything for what I believe in? I had runs where everyone made it out, and others where things went very wrong, and I loved that unpredictability. So how did your story go? Did your version of Connor stay cold and logical, or did he break free? Let's hear your ending. I know everyone's is different. A Plague Tale: Innocence surprised me in the best way. It's quiet, heavy, and unexpectedly powerful. You play as Amisha, a teenage girl trying to protect her younger brother Hugo in the middle of war, plague, and a terrifying swarm of supernatural rats. The setting, medieval France during the Black Death, is gloomy, haunting, but also strangely beautiful. What really stuck with me is the relationship between the 2 siblings. It's not about epic battles or flashy mechanics, it's about survival, sacrifice, and that bond between family. Every stealth section felt tense, and every quiet moment felt earned. I'll be honest, some side sequences dragged a little too long, and not every stealth puzzle hit the mark. But the emotional weight, that landed hard. If you've played it, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Did it hit you the same way? Or did the pacing throw you off? Let's talk. That's the list, or at least my list. Some of these games hit me harder than I expected, and others I'm still struggling to finish. But every single one left something behind. If any of these titles meant something to you too, or if you've got your own unforgettable 10 out of 10 experience, I'd love to hear it. Drop a comment, share your story, or just let me know which game broke you first. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, stick around. There's more I'd love to talk about, more games worth sharing. Your support honestly keeps this going.
Yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I don't lie at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning.